Hello, I'm Joe, and this is GoonerTube that you're watching, and this is our first fan review that we're doing, which is immediately after the games that we're watching, week in, week out. There's going to be plenty more to come. This is our first one of the season, and I've invited 3 of the people that you might recognise from our Gooner Views videos that we've been putting out, namely Andy, Tony, and Aitch. You've probably seen Aitch when we've done some reviews in the past with Dulce, and also Tony has obviously given us some very, very interesting views and some animated views because he gets very passionate, as we can see. And Andrew is forever writing his bits down and doing his analysing and all that sort of thing. And that's really, really nice. It's nice that we've got a good combination of people here today. So hopefully, Harold, you're going to get Aitch, you're going to get nice and animated today, I would imagine, at some point. Is that true? Is that right? Well, listen, let's waste no time in talking about the game of Sheffield United today. In fact, what I'm going to say is just before we talk about Sheffield United today, I want to just get your opinions. I know you gave your opinions on the Liverpool match on Thursday, and we were asking the question, why couldn't we have gone at them like that in the Premier League? And Kaya made a good point that, you know, if maybe some of our senior players could have taken a little bit of stick for that, and also could have taken something from that game and seen what some of the reserve players or the players behind them are actually doing in that game. What are your thoughts? I'll start with you, Andy. What are your thoughts on Thursday? We'll hit on that very quickly before we move on to Sheffield United today.
Yeah, to be fair, Joe, I mentioned it before, didn't I? On after Thursday's game, if we'd have played like that the weekend before, I think we'd have got a bit more out of the game. I'm not saying we would have beaten Liverpool last weekend. But certainly there was a lot more positivity about the whole attitude, I think, the approach to the game. The youngsters brought a bit of energy. And you're right, Joe, 100% right. You know, some of the senior players could have stepped up a little bit, maybe take some more responsibility. Mm-hmm. But for me, there was more positives. And I think I mentioned it before. What was more disappointing was the fact that everyone just seemed to be on their backs. It was a poor performance. Not for me. I thought I saw a lot more positives than negatives. And as I said, if they'd have played like that Saturday, we might have got something, maybe a draw out of the game. Yeah,
I think so. Absolutely. Tony, what are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I mean, Thursday, the youngsters, isn't it? They have a lot more, like you say, like Andy said, with the energy. I think the week before was, it was the first half that was disappointing for me. The week before, the second half, we sort of pushed a lot more. But Thursday, yeah, I think we played well. It was a solid defensive performance. I thought Thursday was a lot more solid defensively.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know Liverpool had a lot of youngsters out as well, but I think we just look more solid. I think Gabriel makes a big difference. Big difference.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, absolutely. Harold, your thoughts, mate?
Don't really agree. Fair enough. We looked.
We started already. Yes, one.
No. Fair enough. We looked good on Thursday, but everyone's got to realise we were playing in the Carabao Cup against a Liverpool second string. The team that we played last Saturday, that Liverpool team, were on fire. I mean, their front three, the way they were closing us down, the way that team, I haven't seen Liverpool play that good for ages. So I don't think we should be too disheartened by that performance. For us to even be in that game still at the late stages, I think was a positive, was a plus.
Yeah.
Because Liverpool were playing really, really well. We shouldn't be too down on it. They play like that. I don't think there's many teams in the world that could beat them.
No, I agree.
Definitely one of the top 5 teams in the world, I think. I mean, we were talking about this before. And I kind of agree with both of you, really, in a sense that, that was their second string team out. But Harold, they still had Salah up front and they still had Van Dijk in defence. And Salah is a nightmare for anybody. You know, the pace he's got, the skill he's got. But what I liked was the fact that Gabriel, and we, again, myself and Kaya both said this, I like the way that Gabriel he's playing there like he's been playing there for 10 years. Yeah. It's as if, and my dad just said it earlier on while I was watching the game. He's a young man. He's come to a foreign country. He doesn't speak the language that well. He's probably got some people around him, and Arsenal will always make sure there are people around him. And he's got the other Brazilians, and I'm sure Luis is looking after him, and like he looks after all the young players in the club, and the Brazilians ones especially, because he needs to feel at home, doesn't he? But for such a young man at such an early stage in his career at Arsenal, it's like it was almost like he was the senior player and Rob Holding was the kid.
Yeah, Joe, you know what? It's a really good point. I mentioned this, and you mentioned this pre-game as well. One of your interviews before today's game. And it's a really good point. You know, I think I said on after Thursday's game, he brings a kind of calmness to Rob Holding. Now, I know we'll get onto the game shortly, but for me, Rob Holding maybe deserves a starting place today, which I know we'll come on to.
Yeah.
But there was a calmness about Rob Holding, and I think that was brought out by Gabriel.
Yep.
Gabriel has his kind of ability on the ball, doesn't he? That just brings... Luis is good on the ball, but then puts himself into trouble. Gabriel is good on the ball, but he buys himself a bit of time. And I noticed that again today as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. Tony, any thoughts on that, considering, like, you know, how you and Aitch kind of disagreed on
I just think with Gabriel, it's just reliability. He's one of them people, to me, I don't want to watch my defenders thinking he's a superstar on the ball, or panic like when you see Luis sometimes. Gabriel, he just reliability. He just looks comfortable. You don't have to worry about him. You just want to watch him and not have to worry about your defenders when they're defending. You just want him, and he looks like he enjoys defending.
Yeah.
Like he heading the ball, for example. I know you'd think defenders in general would do that, but some they don't look too comfortable, especially recent years, the defenders we've had.
Okay, so Pablo Mari is obviously on his way back. And my brother made a point that let's suggest that, well, let's hope not, but look at how quickly Murray got injured. And he'd only just sort of started stamping his authority. He looked solid. He looked good on the ball. He looked very slick. But then, bang, he was out. And that was for the rest of the last season and the start of this season. It looks like he's probably going to be another few weeks away before he comes back. God help us if anything like that happens to Gabriel.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, don't even talk like that.
No. I'm not. No, listen. This is not some sort of like no witchcraft involved here or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's like what if? And talking of what ifs, we'll start talking about the transfer window in a second. But because but before we do that, just on today's game, how did you feel that the midfield performed? Doesn't matter, whoever jumps in here is fine, but how do you think the midfield performed, and did we have the right combination there with Mr. Sideways back?
I was really pleased that he played Elneny and Ceballos together.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of Jacko anyway. I just think he's improved. I think since Arteta's come, I think he's been playing better, but
yeah,
he's just, for me, he's too slow. And it slows the game down the way he plays, especially if you play Elneny and him together. I think Elneny can do what Jacko does, but he's also defensively, he's more aware defensively. Mm-hmm. He don't get caught. He's sort of got that defensive mind, whereas Jacko seems to be, he's not a defensive player, but he's trying to play that role.
Yeah.
So I was, and Ceballos, I know people say Ceballos is a creative midfielder, but he puts a tackle in. He likes getting a foot in as well. I think you see him nicking in for a few balls, nicking in the ball.
He's a tough little terrier, isn't he, Ceballos? He doesn't stand for any shit from anybody. No, and he was a couple of times that they couldn't catch him. And I think, unfortunately, he brings those tackles onto him, doesn't he? He's one of those players that will. I used to do that, but Harold will tell you that. But he brings those tackles. He brings those tackles. I just stop and let him hit me, and then I'll go over for him and go ref.
Classic right back foul. Yeah, you like that one, didn't you?
That's what it's all about. Yeah.
So Joe, talking about the midfield, So I was surprised that he dropped Jacko, and I was surprised that Jacko came off in the last game as well, because you watch Jacko, and a lot of the time you're like, what is he actually doing? But he used to make us tick. He used to just keep moving that ball around. And we had a big period last season. When he played, we won.
Yeah.
And when he was out of the team, we didn't win. Obviously, Elneny's in, and he can do what he does, and he seems to do it just a little bit quicker. He does like moving it sideways a lot, but he generally keeps hold of the ball. And for me, Ceballos he's just getting better and better. So, he does get stuck in. He does like to go between the lines, trying to beat a player, trying to find that ball. It's not enough.
Okay, so
I quite like that.
Okay, so that begs the question then. We've got Ceballos in, right? We've got Jacko there, and Elneny is the backup, right? So supposing Arsenal end up doing we'll move on to the transfer thing. Supposing Arsenal do a move where they used to get Wenger to say, when you remember when he used to go, well, people, he's been out for 3 months, and it's like signing a new player. But he's not a new player. He's one of our fucking players. Yeah, and it's not. We're not signing any new players. He's one of our players already.
I'll tell you what, Joe, struck me when I saw Elneny on the bench. Well, two things, right? First, Arteta had the balls to drop Jacko. Now, you think about Emery would never have done that. Wouldn't have the balls. Maybe Wenger at the back end of his time, he would have never have done that.
Yeah.
But he had the balls to do it. But a little kind of cynical side of my head is saying to me, is it just putting Elneny in the shop window for the last 24 hours of the window? I don't know. Look, listen, there's more in the game that says he's done it for that reason. But for me, it's Shaka all the way. I don't like Shaka. I'm the same as you, Tone. I can't stand Shaka. I think he's a waste of time. However,
40 million. He costs 40 million.
Yeah, I know. And he's better than Elneny. For me, he's better than Elneny. Joe, you touched on it. Elneny's past, it's sideways, backwards, sideways.
Yeah.
He's secure and he's safe, and that's it.
Yeah, that's all he is. But the point I was going to make,
if we can get someone in,
I think we've lost Harold unless he's doing a really good impression of a shop window dummy. Actually, he's moving about as fast as he used to move at centre half when I played next to him.
He's as fast as Elneny, I think.
I could say that now. Oh, no, he's back on now. Hang on.
I'll come down somewhere there's a bit more closer to the room.
He's moving quicker than Jacko.
He's moving quicker than he used to move as well, Tony.
Hey, mate, I've still got that turn of pace. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I've seen you over Corum's fields on the AstroTurf. It's great. Yeah, yeah. You know what I love now is that Harold runs his own team, and just down the road here is Corum's fields, and I've seen him come up with the last 10 minutes. I'll tell you what, you scared defences shitless when you come on. I've got to be honest. The old centre forward comes out in you.
Are you taking the piss? I don't know if you're being serious or not.
Yeah, I am. But he's sitting at the bottom. This is a first now. We've got a man sitting at the bottom of his stairs so he can get a better signal.
He's on the naughty step.
I am, always.
Guys, your mum will be calling up to you in a minute. So to take us on to that, the point I was going to make about the fact that Wenger used to go and all that business and say we've signed a new midfield. It's like signing a new midfielder when we've already got him. Guendouzi, I think the Ozil situation is done. I think that's a bit of a Gareth Bale scenario going on there. I think he's obviously got stuff written into his contract. I think there's stuff going on there deep. But Guendouzi, who's to say that Arteta isn't a month down the line or 2 months down the line going to say, well, we've basically got a new player now. The fact that we didn't get Aouar and the fact that we didn't get Partey and the fact that we didn't get fucking anyone in the window. And I know you all want to kill Stan Kroenke, but at least we've got Guendouzi. What are your thoughts? Tony, I love that.
Who is this Guendouzi player you're talking about?
I love that derisory laughter from Tony there, just as if to go, oh, for fuck's sake. Like that, Go on, Tony, I'll let you have the floor. Go on, mate.
I don't know who Guendouzi is. Is this one of the new signings? Well,
he is like he's going to be a new player, new signing for us.
I like Guendouzi. He's a good young player, isn't he? But he's clearly, for me, him, Ozil, clearly, Arteta don't want to know. And that's what I like about Arteta. I know Andy was saying about, has he played Elneny to put him in the window? I don't think Arteta's got that in him. I think he will play players that are playing well. And that's what he seems to be. If you play well, you'll be in the team. And I think that's what he's done. And with Guendouzi, I just think he's a good young talent. He looked promising, but is he really going to be that good enough at that level to push us forward and improve the team? I'm not sure. And I think the petulance,
100%.
I think
Arteta's showing good discipline.
No, he is. If anything, the petulance.
I agree with you guys on that as well. Just like, what extra is he going to bring? He was tidy. He moved the ball a bit quicker. He just seemed lively in that midfield. And for someone so young, it was good to come in like that. But he's not going to give us anything that Ceballos doesn't.
No.
He's not taking us forward, is it? Let's be brutally honest. If you think about the transfer window, we're going to come on to that, Joe, I'm sure. But if you think about the players we've been linked with in the midfield, they're 10 times the man. Nearly every midfielder we got at the moment, they're better than them by far. Okay, they're going to take us into the top 4.
So that begs the question then: why does it seem like typical Arsenal that it's the 11th hour then before anybody finds anything out, and then suddenly, and I've mentioned this to Kaya, it's like we're going Aouar, Partey, Aouar, and then suddenly there's this player that comes in from left field who they signed from some obscure fucking French side in the 3rd league or something like that. But he's like the next big thing, and you think,
or a reject from Chelsea again.
Well, did you hear
potentially
talking about Jorginho now? He's even talking about this sort of panic buying Jorginho because he needs a creative midfielder. I mean, how can Arsenal get into that position where they're actually under Arteta now getting into a panic buying situation like they used to do under Wenger? It just doesn't make sense to me. And if that's the case, then why?
But Joe, you think about the Arsenal in the last 10 years or so, right? Especially in the last couple of years, right? Forget about the COVID thing. Every team in the top half of the league at least, so I'm talking about Wolves, Sheff Utd, they've all invested. They've invested more than we have, right? Yeah. So something fundamentally is not right at our club. Forget about the San Kroenke money, putting money into it. Absolutely, 100% he needs to. We all know that. But with the money we've got, based on the model that we use, we've still got no money to put another 10 million into some bloke from Lyon.
Yeah, I know.
I think a lot of that's come from we've got so many players that we need to move on first. And that's the problem. Over the years, we've put too many players on good money. And now it's come to that point where you've got to offload them. And who's going to want to pay the player his wages?
No, and we have been spending big as well. We have paid money for players. It haven't always worked out. We paid a fair bit for Lacazette. We paid a fair bit for Aubameyang, which is obviously paid off. We paid loads for Mustafi. You forget that. That was a defender we paid over 30 million for. So we're still spending. I think we're just spending on the wrong players. And I know there's some kind of payment plan through, but is Pepe a £72 million player?
No, maybe today I'm kind of thinking he might be getting there, but you're right, he's not. He's not
7.2 maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, it was a great goal today. He took it well. I think we were, as Arsenal supporters, expecting some sort of breakthrough at some point. There was only so long that Sheffield United were going to hold us in the way they were holding us. I mean, the first half, they really, especially with the playing out from the back thing that we're doing, and sometimes it used to worry me a lot more under Emery than it does under Arteta. But there was a few times that let's say, for example, when Luiz got a ball short from Gabriel and just made it, and then our sweeper Leno came out and cleared the ball. If he hadn't have done that, and that was someone like Salah or someone like Antonio or whatever, you'd have thought that they would have got the ball in front of Luiz there. So sometimes that playing out from the back really gets to me a little bit. But then having said that, every time we hit it long, they got the ball back. So you think to yourself, well, what do you do?
So it's natural, Joe, to think like that, isn't it? When you play like that in front of your goal, any football fan, any person that plays the game, you've got to be nervous because if you lose it there, more than likely they're going to score against you. Yeah. But that's how everyone's playing now. It's like beating that first press and then you're away. And we've profited it from this quite a few times already. We've scored some good goals where we just break from that back like that. So that's how he wants to play. I know it's a bit scary, but that's how he wants to do it.
It's not good for my art age.
We're all getting on a bit now, see. And
it's like you say though as well with the long ball. If you're hitting a long ball, it's fine hitting the long ball, but we haven't got players in the team that like heading the ball. We ain't got big, strong players. You look at Sheffield United; they're going to just win the ball every time if you hit it long. So especially against them, you've got to. I think it's the best way to play.
So so if we were to, let's say there's an 11th hour thing and it was changed around and they met the asking price for Aouar and we got him. It's only one player, and we were able to shift 2 or 3 players out in the meantime. What do you think Aouar is going to bring to the club? I mean, that's a bit of a sort of a rhetorical question, really. But what are your opinions on what Aouar you think he's going to bring?
Well, creativity, I think, Joe. I think he's a forward-thinking player. I think we saw him playing Champions League last year. He's forward thinking. He's always thinking about the forward pass. He's not sideways. He's not backwards. He'll do it when he needs to. He's quite an intelligent player from what I can see and what I'm hearing from the press as well. Mm-hmm. But he looks forward, and we need that just to get him behind. Today was a classic example, right? Sheffield United set themselves up. They were brilliant, to be fair. How did we get through them? Every opportunity, they just broke us down. We couldn't get through them, right? So we need that creativity. We did it a couple of times, and we got down the back of them. And this lad looks as though he's the sort of bloke that can do that. So for me, just a bit more forward thinking, a bit more creative. Yep.
No, I agree. Anybody else want to chip in with anything on that front?
Well, I haven't seen that much of him, but what I've heard, he's as Andy was saying, forward thinking, but he's also working hard and it can fit into our Arteta's plans. And I think if we have that extra midfielder in there, that's got that creativity, that's forward thinking, we may look at the how we set up as well. Because obviously playing with the 3 centre-backs and the wing-backs, but the wing-backs are meant to bring some of that creativity as well, aren't they? That's what they want to do. I don't know if he brings extra person into midfield, but if we have that extra midfielder in, we have a flat back 4, then I think you will start to see some more creativity from the middle. and that's what he may bring.
Yeah.
And what about the fact that obviously it looks like we've missed out on Partey this time round, and who's to say he's not going to go somewhere like Chelsea or whatever, which for me would be massive. I think if Arsenal were to be able to spend the money and bring both of those in, like we all dreamed, didn't we, as Arsenal supporters? But even one of those buggers would be nice. If it was Partey, Tony, would you like to see Partey or Aouar? Who would you prefer to see at the club?
I would prefer to see Partey. To be honest, I've not seen a lot of Aouar, but I just think Partey's that big, strong midfielder that we need. I think we've missed that for a long time, and I think with Ceballos, I think he would be perfect. But I think if they're saying he could end up going to Chelsea, which would be devastating, wouldn't it? After everything that's gone on, it would be typical Arsenal again, wouldn't it? You leave it, oh, we'll give you this much, oh, we'll give you an extra fiver. Then all of a sudden, Chelsea come along, go, well, we'll give you the 45 million, and that's it. It's done.
Yeah. They get our typical, number one target, and then we get their reject.
It's just, yeah.
Just sit in my life.
Yeah. And then we'll get Jorginho.
Right, we're going like that.
It's just, it would be typical.
Yeah, but Tony, you're right.
It's crazy.
I've seen more of Partey than I have of Aouar, and he would be perfect for us. I mean, like, I can't believe we've not got all out to get him. He's number one. He's Ghanaian like me, so he's obviously got to be a good player. But what I've seen of him, like, you say he's that big, strong midfielder, but like he breaks stuff up, and he's got the ability to keep hold of the ball. He can still beat a player, and he'll just start things from the back. I mean, he's everything that Jacko should be. I mean, it'd be brilliant to have him. It really would. It's
the one type of player we just don't have, isn't it? Just a big, strong midfielder. And we've not had it for a long time. I know Torreira came in. He looked promising, but he's too small, isn't he? He's not got that.
He's tiny, isn't he?
He's not going to dominate a centre midfield, is he?
So you need that. We're going to need that sort of Vieira character to come back in and do what he does. And Partey's that man, really, isn't he? So it would be a shame if we lose out on both of those players, only to find out that one of them's staying and one of them's going to a rival. And it's just typical of how things end up going for Arsenal. I mean, I'm reading online a lot of the groups that we're on in GoonerTube, and everybody's like already making their mind up that we're getting no one. And Kroenke out. I mean, we've been saying that for years anyway. But I mean,
Kroenke out.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But I don't know. I don't know if that's not going to happen. So we should just forget about that. That's just not going to happen. But just your thoughts on moving forward, then, boys, as we sort of draw this to a close. And obviously, international break now, and then we've got another easy game, Man City away. On Saturday the 17th of October. Any thoughts on how you think he's going to approach that? I mean, we might see international breaks out the way. What do you think? Because I mean, Pep is going to want to really try and do a Liverpool on us and beat us, in style. And the way they're playing at the moment, although they did have had a couple of little funny results, but what are your thoughts on the Man City away game?
No, we're the form team. They're struggling, mate, Man City. Huh? You got to say that. But no, they're a brilliant side, and they're going to come at us. Arteta knows them. You got to hope that we just set up right against them. I can see us doing something against them.
You think so?
I reckon.
Yeah,
I do as well. Yeah.
In what way, Anne?
Well, for me, Joe, I think it's just a confidence thing. We're going into the break on a win. Okay, granted, hard bloody work win, but we got a win. Man City's form, we know he's been up and down all season. Well, say all season, but certainly the first 3 or 4 games. Yeah, and we beat them last season, right at the back end. Okay, granted, it was some bloody hard work, but our confidence is high. If you'd have asked me that question about the top 6 teams going into any of those games now, 6 months ago, I'd have been laughing at you. Look, we're going to get 4-0, 5-0, stuff massively. Yeah. Now I'm going into all those games, apart from even Liverpool game last weekend, I was going with confidence. It doesn't fear me as much as it did before. I'm not saying we're going to go out there and bloody blitz them, but we're going to compete, and that's all we need to do: compete. And do you think that like a year ago, against teams like West Ham and against teams like Sheffield United, we might have struggled, or we definitely wouldn't have won those games. We probably would have drawn. See, I mean, at the end, it was a bit heart-stopping, wasn't it? A couple of those little attacks with McGoldrick and everything, and our head in hand sort of thing. Maybe last year it might have been a little bit different if we hadn't have had the resolve that we've got this year. You think? What do you think, Tone?
I do. I think also what benefits us is no fans in the stadium, especially the away games. Obviously, I know every team would say that, but I think away from home, we'd get under pressure. The fans would get with the other team, and we would fold, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And I think that makes a big difference. Even the home games a little bit. If things ain't going well, the fans would get on top of them, and you'd see them getting more nervous. And I think no fans is almost helping us in a way. But I think Man City, it's going to be much the same as, you know what you're going to get with City, don't you? Know exactly how they're going to play. I think if they haven't got Aguero or who's the other striker, Jesus. That'll make a difference as well.
Yeah.
You could see that when they played Leeds the other day. If they had a striker, if they had Aguero, certainly they would have won that game.
Yeah.
And Joe, against Man City as well, even though I said I reckon we can get something, you know, if everything ticks for them, they've got some amazing players. They could just rip anyone apart.
Yeah,
if it clicks for them, then, you know, they could be any team in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. When it matters. Absolutely. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So moving forward from that, I mean, predictions for where we're possibly going to be, you know, heading towards Christmas. I mean, it's you know, Christmas is always a difficult time of year for all clubs. But if you can see that from your predictions, you think we can give Man City a good go, and you think so far playing a lot of the big teams, you think we've got a good chance against the bigger teams. So it's beating those smaller teams, it's beating the Sheffield Uniteds and beating the, dare I say it, West Ham's and all the rest of it. Although, you know, they had a good result today against Leicester. What's that all about? I mean, it's mad.
Early days in the season, that's what's happening. It's all over the shop.
It is all over the shop. And I think just going on your point there, who said about the quietness in the ground? Joe Brand, the comedian, said that it was going to be to Arsenal's advantage that there was no noise coming from the stands, which I can fully understand sometimes, that bloody place, I tell you. But yeah, so just quickly, we'll just go. Well, what are your thoughts for how you think the season will go over the next couple of months? Do you think it's going to be or do you think it's going to depend who actually comes through the doors and starts playing for us, and the way he's going to set up according to who he buys, if he buys? For
me, Joe, it's not good. If we even get one of those two players we mentioned tomorrow, it's not going to change drastically, right? It's going to take time to settle in. By the time we get to Christmas, he probably would have settled in by that point, but it's not going to make a difference, but not a massive difference. If we carry on like we are, what have we got now? 9 points out of 4 games, is that right? 9 out of 12 points.
Yeah.
If we carry that on up to Christmas, look, we ain't going to win the league, right? But we've got a fighting chance. We're going to get into that top 4, top 5-ish area, certainly top 4. If we keep winning ugly against the crappy teams that we seem to be struggling against, more so than the big teams, you know, we've got a chance to the top 4. It's the little teams that actually worry more than the bloody big teams at the moment, quite frankly. If we get draws out of the big teams, I'm happy as Larry.
Yeah, as long as you beat or draw the ones around you, I think, and then try and pick up points from everybody else. Spurs are 3-1 up, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
Martial got 10 men.
Well, Martial, got sent off. Yeah. So Tony and Aitch, what are your thoughts?
It's 4-1.
Is it?
I think the next 3 games are going to be big. We've got City, Leicester, Man United. I think if we can get, I think realistically, if you can get 4 points out of them 3 games, I think we'd be happy. I think if you could get 6 points out of them 3 games, we'd be over the moon. We'd take that now, wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
And if you can get, you've got to try and get. Would you take 3 draws?
No, I don't think I would. I don't like 3 draws. I don't like draws. Are the worst results in the time, aren't they?
They are, but I mean, you know, but the way we're playing, you'd fancy us to win at least one.
I mean, the fact 2 of them is it 2 of them are away from home? I think if you draw your away games, you've always got a chance then, and you win your own games. But I think if you can get 4 or 6 points in 3 games, and you've got to just keep around that top 4. I've got a Liverpool mate, and he texted me today, and he said, "Why is Arteta celebrating so much at that win? It was only Sheffield United." And I said, "But every game for where we are, every game is so important, and also every point is so important. And also, come the end of the season,
and all I was going to say,
last year, it was a point in it."
Sorry, mate. I was just interjecting really quickly and saying, and also don't forget the league form under Arteta last year wasn't that brilliant, was it?
No, exactly.
It was the cup that we did it in, where we seemed to pull it out of the bag. But the league form wasn't that great. So I'd imagine he's probably really, really pleased that we're beating teams like Sheffield United, grinding that out results.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. Aitch?
Because I really think we do need to get people in, number one, because I think what Arteta's done, he's getting the best out of what we've got at the moment. I think these players, this group, they're playing at their pinnacle. I think that's what I think. Look at the players we've got. Look at the other teams we're playing against, and look at some of the results we've got.
Yeah,
I like what he's doing. I think he needs a bit more in that as well. But I kind of think we're going to keep ticking on. I kind of see us still picking up these points. We're going to be up about that top 4 area. I think we're going to get caught, obviously, Liverpool, different class. Man City, when they're on top, different class. But apart from that, we're a match for anyone. And like, if he just keeps getting the best out of these players, they get something else to help them on, we're definitely going to be around that area. Even the pundits now talking us up. That never happens, you know. So I just got a feeling I like what he's doing to the club, and you know, we're going to keep ticking on. We're going to be around that top 4 space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's still rebuilding. He is still rebuilding, isn't he? You've got to give him probably another season to really stamp his authority. You can see where he's going with it, and you can see the sort of tactics. There's already a change. You can see they're playing with more confidence. They're slicker. He's getting the best out of players. So I think, you know, from a personal point of view, I think we're looking up rather than down at the moment, aren't we? You think?
I think that's the thing, isn't it? You've got to. You can see you can see the improvement game to get. Even if we're not getting the results, you can see where he's trying to take us, what he's trying to do, and we are. You can see there's a style that he wants to play, rather than under Emery. Before it was like, well, what are we doing? You just can't see anything. There was no improvement.
The players are playing for him, aren't they, Tone? I mean, you mentioned about the spirit. Klopp has that in abundance at Liverpool, even before they won the league, right? Leading up to that point, they loved Klopp. The players loved him. And like you sense that with Arteta. They bought into his ideas. They know his mindset, know where he wants to go, and they believe in it. You know, so I
think part of that is discipline as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think part of that is discipline as well. They realise that if they're not pulling their weight and doing what he wants them to do, they'll be out the door and they won't play.
A la Guendouzi.
And guys, also remember, Aubameyang ain't scored for a little while, so he's due about 5 or 6 on the run.
Well, he hasn't actually. The bugger hasn't actually scored since he signed his new contract.
That's true.
He's doing he's doing an Adebayor on us already. You know, he's hung his boots up and everything. Yeah. But, listen, boys, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for joining me today. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you've enjoyed it yourselves, and sort of like vent your spleen and go to different parts of the house to get better signal. And all that.
Thanks for having us, Joe. Did you like that turn of pace? Yeah, still got it.
Actually, Aitch, that was brilliant. That you were in your football boots.
No. Didn't get them on. Just shin pads.
Fantastic, boys. Thanks for joining me, Andy, Tony, and Aitch today on GoonerTube Sheffield United review, and we'll be back with some more reviews as the season goes on. We're gonna interchange people. We're gonna have a little sort of rotation-y sort of thing going on, so people can get their chance to vent their spleens as well, and let us know what they think about the games and how the season's going. So watch out for those. Thanks very much. Keep it GoonerTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell. It means you'll never miss another bit of content that we do here at GoonerTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.